He's a little grouchy right now. So today I want to talk about several reasons why you should not get a pet hedgehog. There are some expenses that come with any pet, but with hedgehogs, the largest expense is on keeping the right temperature for your hedgehog. And there's several ways that individuals keep their hedgehogs at a certain temperature. Hedgehogs need to be around 75 to 85 degrees. So that's what their external temperature is. And the ideal way to keep your hedgehog at that temperature is actually heating a room to that temperature. And so that could be keeping your heat on during the colder times of the years to a very warm temperature, or having a space heater. And so that cost definitely contributes to their expenses. Their food actually isn't very expensive, and their other requirements aren't too expensive as well. So that is one area though to consider. Additionally, it's important to know that hedgehogs are nocturnal animals and that they're solitary animals. So hedgehogs are not a good pet for a large family. They're also ideally meant for one person or maybe two people. So they really bond with one individual and then might be able to tolerate another individual. But most likely, if you live in a larger household, they will not like living in that environment. Additionally, loud noises are very scary for them and they have very sensitive ears. So that can be very stressful for a hedgehog. Another reason not to have a hedgehog is that they can carry diseases. It's very common for hedgehogs to actually get salmonella, as well as some things like ringworm and hand, foot, and mouth disease. Those diseases can be serious, so we recommend that you not have hedgehogs if you have very young children or if you're immunocompromised. Definitely something to consider when considering a hedgehog. Another thing to know is that hedgehog quills are actually very sharp. And so when I first got Erico, individuals who asked if they would be able to hold him were actually shocked that hedgehog quills were actually sharp. And so yes, they are a defense mechanism for the hedgehog, and they can hurt you with those quills. It just takes a while for you and your hedgehog to get familiar with each other, and so during that time it can hurt to kind of pick them up, so they might huff at you, or if they fall for any reason in your hands, that those quills can actually hurt you. But once you've gotten used to handling them, they aren't painful. It just takes some getting used to. Another thing is that hedgehogs can bite. Erico was taught at a very young age not to bite, so he has never bit me. However, that is something that needs to be trained at a young age. Otherwise, you do have the potential for an adult hedgehog biting you, and that can hurt a lot. They do have some pretty strong jaws. And so very important to make sure that that is taught very early at a young age not to. And so there are some strategies that we can get into on another video if we need on how to train that. But Erico is a very good boy and has never bit me. It is common for other hedgehogs who have been trained not to bite. If you like to wear very floral scented perfumes or lotions, they might mistake that for food, and that could be a reason also why they might be biting. Another thing to know about hedgehogs is exercise is an absolute must, and so they do require space. Some individuals will have like a large Christmas tree style container as a cage, and that customized, and making sure that it's like that plastic instead of a wire, because hedgehogs can and often trip or fall. They're very curious creatures, but they also are not agile at all. So head trauma can be really common for hedgehogs. So it's important to not have cages that can cause them to be able to fall or get their limbs stuck. So Erico actually gets a very large space on the floor, and I can show that setup in a future video as well. It's just important that they have space and potentially a wheel if they don't have a large space, making sure that they have plenty of exercise. Lastly, it's important to recognize what laws or permits are required in your home area. Depending on the state you live in or even the country, hedgehogs can be illegal as pets. So being mindful of if you're required to have a permit in your state or in your country, or if it's not actually legal in your area. And so those are all things to consider when thinking about getting a hedgehog, because it's really important that they have a good home that fits their needs so that you and the hedgehog can be happy in their environment. Isn't that right, Eriko? If you have any questions about hedgehogs, feel free to let me know. I'm not by any means an expert, but Eriko and I have been here together for a little while and always open to hearing if you have any questions or just any thoughts on getting a hedgehog.